The number of pollinators, bees, flies, butterflies, continues to decline here in America, so much so that members of the Texas legislature filed bills to get the state in on their protection.
Many of our fruits and vegetables are pollinated by these insects. KXAN's political reporter Prazan takes a closer look at how big the problem really is with a local honey producer.
Okay, let's see what we got here. So do you see her little pollen legs? You see?
Oh, yeah.
That's where they carry their pollen, is on their hind legs.
Yep.
When Tara Chapman told me there were around 25,000 bees in this hive, I was glad I had on the safety gear.
And watch this.
Oh, geez.
She's the owner of 2 hives honey and will say she's in the bee public relations business.
They do all the work for me. I'm just out there with the bigger megaphone, like chanting their praises and trying to get people to give them a try and see that they really aren't that scary at all.
Many large commercial farmers treat honeybees like livestock.
Honeybees are the only bee that we can pack on the back of semi-trucks and drive around for pollination for those services.
Chapman says honeybees are not as in danger as other types of bees, but she's hoping that the more people care about honeybees, the more they'll care about pollinators in general.
In each one of these cells is a little baby bee developing.
The bees in danger are wild bees, like bumblebees. The 2 major threats are the common use of pesticides and the growth of cities covering up natural bee environments. There are several bills going through the Texas legislature now, including one that would ban bee-killing pesticides known as neonicotinoids on state highways and public roads. Chapman says those efforts usually fail, the way of many state efforts to regulate business. But what would improve bee health, she says, is more people buying their food locally and not from large-scale, chemical-heavy farms.
Supporting your local farmers is really important because they're utilizing practices that are really, really good for the health of all of our bees.
Prazan, KXAN News.
Honeybees are so important to American farmers. The U.S. Department of Agriculture actually puts out a year-to-year report. And according to the most recent report from last spring, colonies went down by 425,000 colonies. That's 16%.
As Phil mentioned, there are 2 other bills in the Texas House that would protect pollinators if they are passed. House Bill 136 would require the creation of educational materials that teaches the best ways for avoiding the deaths of pollinators due to pesticides. It would include steps pesticide users can take to protect bees, like alternative products when the chemicals should be used and with precautions. HB 2484 calls for a bee pollinator goals task force to be created. The governor-appointed group would have the report made to the state's bee population, habitat loss, and ways to sustain the population to the legislature.